Hello, my dear students. Welcome to the second module of the chapter, the mask. In this module, you're going to comprehend the text and scan for details, and you will learn what are the types of infinite verbs. Now, let's revisit. Let's go back to our last lesson. Try answering these questions. Why did Rajan Babu accept Feluda's offer to help him find out who had sent the threatening letter? Second one, why did Tinkuri Babu hesitate to move into Rajan Babu's house? Third one, according to Rajan Babu, who were his visitors? Fourth one, what was Goshal's intention according to Tinkuri Babu? Now let's move on to our lesson. We stopped where Rajan Babu got a threatening letter and Feluda and his cousin were trying to figure out who the culprit was. Then Mr. Goshal might have a motive in sending the letter to Rajan Babu, said Feluda. I learned during my visit to the curio shop today that the shop is going to get some fresh supplies this evening. I see, exclaimed Tinkuri Babu. A letter like that would naturally frighten Rajan Babu into staying at home for a few days, and Goshal would get to buy all the new pieces. Exactly. Tinkuri Babu also told us about Rajan Babu's son, Prabhir. Apparently, Rajan Babu had asked Prabhir to leave the house 16 years ago when he had caught Prabhir stealing money from his cupboard. Prabhir had not been seen since. Hence, Tinkuri Babu was shocked to hear that we had seen Prabhir at the mall that morning. So Prabhir also had a motive to threaten his father, said Feluda. Rajan Babu doesn't know that his son is in town, said Tinkuri Babu, and I don't think he should be told. After further investigation, Feluda told me, I visited Dr. Mitra today. He could have also sent the letter. He seems to be in need of money as he doesn't have a good practice. A letter like that could make Rajan Babu fall ill, which would require him to go to Dr. Mitra. So they were talking to Tinkuri Babu in the coffee shop. So Tinkuri Babu was telling, maybe Mr. Goshal is not such a good person. So Feluda said that, yeah, maybe he might send such a letter so that Rajan Babu will be frightened, so he won't go out to buy the curios, so that he will get all the curios for himself. He can buy all the curios for himself. I heard from the curio shop that they're going to get some new items this today. So maybe Goshal want to grab all these items for himself. That's why he sent a threatening letter so that Rajan Babu would stay at home. Oh, so that's it. Tinkuri Babu said, oh, I think this is the reason. So now, Tinkari Babu also told about Rajan Babu's son, Prabir. Prabir had been sent out from the home because Rajan Babu saw him stealing the money from the cupboard. So, Feluda said that he had seen Prabir in the mall, so maybe he also might be the person behind this. He might be threatening his father for he had those revenge many years back. Then he told Tinguri Babu told that Rajan Babu doesn't know that his son is in town, and please don't tell him. He's already very weak, and knowing that maybe it would make him sick. So Feluda said that maybe Dr. Mitra also can send this letter because he is not a doctor with much practice. He does not have much patience. So when he sends such a letter, Tinkuri Babu would fall ill so that he can come and examine him and take money from him. So maybe Dr. Mitra also will be the person behind the letter. The case had reached a stage where it had 3 suspects but 2 culprits. A few days later, one morning, we received a message that Rajan Babu wanted to see us urgently. We rushed to his house. He was lying on bed, looking pale and haggard. Dr. Mitra was examining him. Tinguri Babu stood nearby, looking worried. Rajan Babu spoke with some difficulty. Last night, after midnight, I woke up suddenly and there was this face, a masked face. It bent over me. It was horrible. I can't tell you how I spent the night. Take it easy, said the doctor. You need complete rest. Dr. Mitra said Feluda suddenly. Dr. Dr. Mitra said Feluda suddenly. Did you go out last night? Your jacket's got a streak of mud on it. Yes, I did go out to see a patient, though it was raining so heavily, replied Dr. Mitra. After Dr. Mitra had left, Feluda asked, what did the mask look like? It was like one of those you see on the wall there. Rajan Babu pointed to a dreadful looking mask on the wall. So it was the same mask which was on the wall of Rajan Babu, on the Rajan Babu's house wall. So one day, Feluda received a call from Rajan Babu that he received a message from Rajan Babu that he had to see him urgently. So when he went, when Feluda went to Rajan Babu's house, Dr. Mitra was examining him. He was on the bed, and Rajan Babu told that, see, last night a person came here with a masked face and it horrible. I don't know how I spent the midnight night after seeing that masked face. I was really frightened. I was really um, in a dilemma. I was really frightened to see that mask. So Feluda asked, how did that mask look like? So Rajan Babu pointed to a mask on the wall and told it looked like that mask. And suddenly, Feluda noticed some dirt on Dr. Mitra's uh, coat. So he was suspecting Dr. Mitra. So he asked, why did you go out last night? So he said, yes, I went out last night to see a patient. Though it was raining very heavily, I had gone to see a patient. Tinkuri Babu came in after seeing off the doctor and said, I'm sorry, but I have to return to Calcutta today. I tried to change my ticket, but there are no seats for the next 10 days. But before I leave, I'll inform the police. Rajan Babu needs protection. Realizing that Rajan Babu would be all alone that night, Feluda and I decided to stay the night at his house. Later that night, as we were relaxing after dinner, Feluda said, I did some investigation in the afternoon. Both Prabhir and Mr. Goshal were at a party from 9 p.m. to 3 a.m. and Dr. Mitra was truly visiting a critical patient till last night. That man wearing the mask came soon after midnight, didn't he? Yes. Well, then, who does that leave us with? Feluda did not answer. He abruptly went off. So, uh, Tinkuri Babu came in and he told that today I have to leave to Calcutta. I had already booked the ticket. When I heard of Rajan Babu's incident, I tried to change my ticket, but I could not. For the next 10 days, there are no seats. So I have to leave today itself. So Feluda and his cousin thought of staying in Rajan Babu's house because if Tinkuri Babu leaves, Rajan Babu would be all alone in this house. So they decided to stay there. And Feluda came and told his cousin Topshe that, see, I did some investigation and I came to know that Prabhir and Mr. Goshal were at a party from 9 p.m. to 3 a.m. So the master face was here in between that time. So it is not those two people. Prabhir and Mr. Goshal is out of suspicion. Then Dr. Mitra was really visiting a critical patient. I even did an investigation on that. So these these three persons are not the one, is not the one who came to who came to frighten who came to frighten Rajan Babu. So Topsha was asking, so if it is not this three, who will be the person? Feluda did not answer to that. He just went out of the room. I lay on the bed and began to feel sleepy. I suddenly sensed the presence of someone else in the room. My blood froze. I could feel the man leaning over me. Oh, how horrible it was. A mask. He was wearing a mask. I opened my mouth and was about to scream when the person pulled the mask away. My scream became a nervous gasp. Feluda, it's you. Of course, it's me. I was trying on the masks in the living room. Why don't you wear this one for a second? I wore the mask. Can you sense something unusual? No, it's a size too large for me, that's all. Think carefully. Is there anything that might strike you as odd? Well, there is a faint smell, I think. Of what? Cheroot. Exactly. So, when Topsy was lying on the bed, uh, he was about to sleep. Just then, he sensed someone else in the room, and when he opened his eyes, he could see a masked face leaning over his body. He was really frightened. But uh, suddenly, the person removed the mask, and it was Feluda. And Feluda asked Topshe to try the mask. He tried, and he asked, "Do you sense something unusual?" So he said, "Nothing. It's too big for me. That's it." Think carefully. Do you feel something else? So Topshir, yeah, I feel a faint smell. So what is the smell? It was the smell of cheroot. Cheroot. We have already learned that Tinkori Babu had the habit of smoking cheroot. So my heart started to beat faster again. Tinkori Babu, I stammered. Feluda sighed. Yes, I'm afraid so. But he seemed to respect Rajan Babu a lot, so I don't understand why he did something like this. Rajan Babu was shocked when we told him about this the next morning. As we were talking, Rajan Babu received a letter. He opened it with trembling hands and read it aloud. Dear Raju, we used to study in the same school in Bankura 50 years ago. You had tripped me in that 100-meter race on a sports day. Not only did I miss the medal in that race, but I was also seriously injured. Unfortunately, my father got transferred to a different town soon after, and I never got a chance to settle the score with you. So you never realized how deeply you had hurt me, both physically and mentally. I didn't realize that you were the same boy till I came to stay in your house and saw your childhood photograph. The desire for revenge resurfaced. I thought of doing something that would cause you anxiety and ruin your peace of mind for a short time. This was my way of punishing you for the past misdeed. With good wishes, yours sincerely, Tinu, Tinkori Mukhopadhyaya. So, when Feluda and Topshe went and told Rajan Babu that the person who was threatening you was Tinkuri Babu. He was really shocked. Just then he received a letter, and in that letter it was told that, hi Raju, I am Tinkuri Babu, and we both were studying in the same school 50 years ago, and during a sports during a 100-meter race you had tripped me, you made me fall down. Yeah, that not only I lost my medal, but I was seriously injured. I was in bed for many days. So I wanted to take revenge, but I did not know that you were Rajan Babu. Only when I saw your picture on the mantelpiece, your childhood photograph, I came to know that you are the same Raju with whom I studied with in the school. My father got a transfer and he went to another town, so I did not get a chance to take revenge on you. So now this was my way of taking revenge, just to destroy your peace of mind for a few days. That's it. So it was Chinkuri Babu. He just wanted to cause anxiety and ruin his peace of mind for a short time. That's all. When he ruined that, when Rajan Babu was filled with anxiety and he lost his peace of mind, he was satisfied. Tingori Babu was satisfied. So he wrote a letter. Uh, he wrote a confession letter and he left. There ends his revenge. So that's a story. Now these are the new words that we came across. Now answer these questions. What did the letter that Rajan Babu received say? What did Feluda get to know about Tinkuri Babu in the first meeting? Who usually visited Rajan Babu at his home? Whose photographs were on the mantelpiece? When did Tinkuri Babu decide to take revenge on Rajan Babu? Now, last class we learned that there was finite verbs and infinite verbs. Finite verbs changes with the time, number of number of subjects, the subject, everything. But non-finite verbs, it does not change. It does not depend on all these things. It remains the same even if the number of subjects or even if the time or anything is changed. So now let's see what are the different types of non-finite verbs. Before that, we'll just read what is a non-finite verb. Non-finite verbs do not change their form even when the person or the number of the subject changes, nor on the tense of the subject. Examples: they want to eat something delicious. She wants to eat something delicious. He wants to play football. They want to play football. They want to eat eggs for breakfast. So it's not here, it's wrong. It is to eat. So these does not change with the subject. They, she, it's the same, to eat. He, they, it's the same, play. So it does not change with the subject or the number of persons in this number of the subject, or it does not change with the time or tense of the verb. Now let's see the different types of non-finite verbs. Non-finite verbs can be classified into three: participle, gerund, and infinitives. Now the type of infinite verbs, non-finite verbs, participles. The first one is participle. It indicates present or past action. A present participle is a form of the verb ending in ing. It may be used to form the verb tense as an adjective. It is used actually as an adjective. She is cycling to school. Cycling is a non-finite verb. Is the finite verb there. Okay. A past participle is used to form the perfect tense. So the past participle is a past participle form of the verb, that is broken. For break it is broken. Break, broke, broken. Broken is the participle. For write, wrote, written. Written is the past participle form. So a past participle is used to form the perfect tense. Past perfect tense or present perfect tense is formed using the past participle form of the verb. It may be used to form the verb tense and as an adjective. She had gone to school. Gone is the participle here. Okay, so got it? This is the present participle form is with the ing form, and past participle is the third form of the verb. So these are non-finite verbs. Only the verb changes here. If it is present tense, we will just say she has gone. Gone will be remaining the same. And here also she was cycling. Cycling remains the same. Only is will change to was. Now infinitives. Simple form of the verb with or without the word to. It can be used either with the word to or without the word to. I help her write every day. I help her to write every day. It's like that also you can use. I help her write every day. That's also right. I want to buy a bicycle. So here the to is must. So it can be used either without to or with to. A bare infinitive is the infinitive without to. This is called a bare infinitive. The word to is not used here. And a to infinitive is the infinitive with to. Here this is called a to infinitive. To buy. To infinitive. Right. That is bare infinitive. Okay. The finite verb here is help. Okay. This is the non-finite verb. Now gerunds. Gerunds is the ing form of a verb that functions like a noun. Here ing form of the verb that functions like an adjective. Adjective means what describes a noun. Here this acts as a noun itself. Reading is a good habit. It is the name of a habit. That's why it is considered as gerund. Reading is considered as the name of an habit. Name of a habit. So it has a function of noun here. So such ing forms of the verbs are called gerund. So these three are the different types of non-finite verbs: participles, infinitives, and gerunds. Now this is your TMLA. Complete these sentences with the finite or non-finite forms of the verbs in the brackets. Do this.